The idea of taking on 150-foot ogres in relentless end-of-the-world battles is something that sounds pretty cool, and at first it is. Scaling up a towering Reveni for the first time to cleanly slice off their head after tactically disembodying their limbs makes you feel pretty awesome. In fact, this feels pretty good for a while, but unfortunately, like all good things, this must come to an end, and with little imagination and some questionable level designs, once the novelty of slaying these titanous ogres wears off, Extinction feels, well, kind of extinct. You play as a Vil, one of the last Sentinels left in the world. The Sentinels are an ancient army who have the ability to wield some pretty powerful attacks, most notably the Rage Burst. Seeing as you're pretty much the last of your kind, you've also picked up the added responsibility of acting as the last protector against a giant ogre race known as the Reveni. Unfortunately, that's really about it for story, which is one of Extinction's biggest flaws. The campaign mode is merely a set of arcade arenas pieced together with some very vague dialogue at the beginning and end of each stage. At the end of a chapter, we are treated to a very nice looking cartoon cutscene, which genuinely provides some intrigue into a Vil as a character, but very little intrigue into the world as a whole. The stages you play on will challenge you to complete a set of objectives in order to progress, but these objectives very rarely steer away from either rescuing refugees or just killing more Reveni. To add more confusion to what's really going on with the story, most maps you play on in the campaign are randomly selected, meaning that this end of the world war, there is no real sense of survival. You're not trying to push the Reveni back from a larger objective, neither are you trying to protect a large objective. All the game cares about, or makes you care about, is the randomly selected map that you'll happen to land on for that stage. This lack of player interest is only stretched further when it comes to the actual Reveni themselves. Although the towering ogres look to be the start of the show, they're actually the most two-dimensional villains I've probably seen this generation. We've never really found out who they are, or where they come from, or why they're even attacking us. Why are we even involved in this war? This lack of depth to the seemingly intriguing Reveni means that every ounce of emotional connection to the small narrative on offer is completely redundant. Now, you could argue that a lot of people will see Extinction for the first time and compare it to the great Shadow of the Colossus, which is a very unfair comparison. Shadow of the Colossus is an emotional and dramatic adventure game, whereas Extinction is more of an arcade hack and slash with the added addition of the Reveni fights. As an arcade brawler, the game does offer some fun. When you start a stage, you'll need to build up your burst meter in order to take down the Reveni. To do this, you can either help save refugees or take on the smaller goblins known as jackals. These more grounded mini battles actually offer quite a lot of enjoyment, with combat feeling like a dampered down DMC. The order and rhythm that you press the button in offers a variety of attacks and combos, all of which feel slick and powerful. So, you've saved the refugees, killed yourself some jackals and charged up your rage meter. Time to take on the Reveni. These titanous bouts are possibly the most disappointing aspect of Extinction. Every Reveni will be wearing armour of some kind. To take them down, you simply need to destroy their armour, chop off a leg, scale their back and lovingly decapitate them. Every one of these stages is performed with just one button. By simply holding down L2 on PlayStation, you'll slow down time and be able to choose the area of the Reveni that you wish to attack. What these fights are really missing is any sense of loss, as you can never lose through death, only objective failure. If you're pummeled to the ground under a brutal blow of a Reveni's fist, then you'll simply respawn a few hundred feet away. This approach to the gameplay meant that I really didn't care about what risks I was taking when taking on the giant ogres. Knowing that I couldn't lose through death almost took away every sense of challenge, putting these what could have been iconic fights on the same importance level as taking on the smaller jackals or even saving the refugees. The only way you can fail a stage is by having the Reveni destroy all of the map or its civilians. As you approach the latter stages, the difficulty of these Reveni does ramp up a little, with armour often requiring more attention or even better, the completion of several mechanics. My favourite of these was the bone armoured Reveni, whose armour can only be broken after you've lured them into an attack. This is the only ogre in the game that offers a risk and reward objective, as if you're killed you lose all opportunity to break their armour. Completing tasks throughout a stage will reward you with skill points to be used on classic action adventure skills. You can jump higher, clear objectives faster, or make time slow down even more. Although these skills are pretty generic, they are well designed, as when I did choose to level up a certain area, I could noticeably notice the difference next time I jumped into a quest. Another thing I liked about these skill points is how they carry over between different game modes. Outside the campaign, Extinction offers skirmishes, daily challenges and an extinction mode. Although these modes offer very little difference to what you experience in the campaign, it's nice knowing that no matter where I choose to take on the Reveni, my rewards will carry over. There's no denying that there is some fun to be had in Extinction. The first time you jump over a Reveni's head to destroy a helmet lock, or fly through the sky to chop off an arm mid-air, all feel great. But these actions soon fall victim to classic been there and done that, and with no real narrative or reason feeding you, and a real lack of risk when taking on these stereotypical ogres, Extinction feels like it may have released a generation too late. To see more on recent indie game reviews, why not check out our reviews for Super Down Deluxe and Masters of Anima, both available now on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. To keep up to date on more indie game news and reviews, make sure you subscribe and head on over to indie-credible.com.